Hey there, dog lovers. Are you ready to dive into the incredible world of canine learning? Today we're going to talk about something super cool, how dogs learn and understand the world around them. And who better to guide us on this journey than the amazing Ivan Pavlov, a pioneer in the field of behavioral science? Now you might think Ivan Pavlov was a dog trainer, but that's not quite right. He was actually a brilliant Russian scientist who dedicated his life to studying digestion and the human body. Pavlov was particularly fascinated by how dogs' stomachs produced digestive juices in response to food. Little did he know his meticulous research would lead to a groundbreaking discovery about how learning happens. So, get ready to explore the fascinating world of classical conditioning and see how it all began with Pavlov's dogs. Picture this, you're a hungry dog in Pavlov's lab. The room is filled with strange equipment and the scent of food is in the air. You smell something delicious, food. Your nose twitches and your stomach growls in anticipation. Naturally, your mouth starts to water. It's an automatic response, you can't help it. Pavlov noticed this natural reflex. He was curious about how your mind worked. He decided to ring a bell just before feeding the dogs. Ring-a-ling. The sound echoed through the lab. At first, the dogs didn't react to the bell. It was just another noise in the background. But then something amazing happened. The dogs started to make a connection. After hearing the bell repeatedly before mealtime, the dogs started to drool, even before the food arrived. Their brains had linked the sound to the upcoming meal. Just the sound of the bell was enough to make them anticipate their tasty treat. Their tails would wag in excitement.
Pavlov's experiment showed that dogs could learn to associate a neutral sound, like a bell, with something they naturally desired, like food. This was a groundbreaking discovery. This was a huge discovery in understanding how animals, including humans, learn by association. It opened up new ways of thinking about behavior and learning.
Yes, indeed. The implications were vast and far-reaching. It was fascinating to see how a simple sound could trigger such a strong response. It made us rethink how learning happens. This process is what we now call classical conditioning. It's a fundamental concept in psychology.
Woof! Imagine being one of those dogs! Every time I heard that bell, I knew something tasty was coming my way. The anticipation was almost as good as the treat itself.
What Pavlov discovered is called classical conditioning. It's a fancy way of saying that animals, and humans, learn by association. Think about it. The dogs learned to associate the bell, a neutral sound, with food, something they naturally desired. This association was so strong that the bell alone could trigger their drooling response. It's like when you hear the ice cream truck jingle, you instantly think of yummy ice cream, right? That's classical conditioning in action. So, how can we use Pavlov's discovery to train our furry friends? It's simpler than you might think and can be a fun bonding experience for both you and your pet. It's all about creating positive associations. By linking a specific sound or action with a reward, you can teach your dog new behaviors. Let's say you're teaching your dog to sit. Start by giving the command and gently guiding them into the sitting position. Every time your dog sits on command, you can ring a bell and immediately give them a treat. This helps them understand that sitting leads to something positive. Over time, your dog will learn to associate the bell with the reward. The sound of the bell will make them excited because they know a treat is coming. Even without the treat, the bell becomes a signal for good behavior. Pretty neat, huh? This is the power of classical conditioning in action.
Remember, consistency is key. Make sure to practice regularly and keep the training sessions short and fun. The more you repeat the bell-treat combination, the stronger the association becomes. Your dog will start to respond more quickly and reliably. And always be patient with your furry friend. They're learning too. With time and practice, you'll both enjoy the process and the results.